Hello, everyone. Welcome to day 38. My little tassels, the Singaporean gifts. So today we're going to talk a little bit about the human experience, and that is the experience that tends to get in the way sometimes, and is usually the part that we have the most difficulty with because, we understand on a conceptual level, like we are all one and that we are connected, and that love and truth is the highest hierarchical energetic order. So we can understand and feel, that is true. And then when we go into the human experience, then we might say or think or act completely contradictory to the divine knowing. So we're going to talk a little bit about the human experience today. And part of my human experience today, it's Sunday. So looking forward to your comments in the chat, in the Telegram group. And Simba and Nights, we've had some really good news and some really fun things happening. So I could really feel like the Sunday energy just, and the nervous system just came down a notch. So I can feel like the nervous system is still kind of sinking a little bit. So I'm feeling very relaxed, and it's almost like I want to take a nap. Almost that kind of feeling. It's really nice. So in the human experience, we will talk about the human experience and the growth that we are here to do, to kind of grow from child to adult. And then we some children are like old souls already. So the age doesn't have to really it doesn't have to be connected to age, or rather your human age might not be your maturity age. So you could be very mature for being a young child, but you could also be enormously immature and be a fully grown adult. So we're talking about the maturity that this earth experience is all about, like going from maiden to mother. So it's the growth that we need to do. And that is also the spiritual path and the growth journey and all of that. So on that journey, the child within us doesn't know how to handle or cope with or hold themselves through emotional experiences. So that is the kind of key to the part of ourselves that we need to hold space for and give love to and honor, and also treat in a way so we can allow them to grow up. So it's almost like we have parallel ages inside of us, because in certain situations a certain behavior comes up. So then it's a part of us that are still a little bit immature, but in other areas we can be super confident, super mature, very level-headed, very have like a growth mindset in terms of how to work and collaborate with other people, and feeling very confident and balanced in one's resources. And so we don't have to lead with a certain type of scarcity or unhealed part of ourselves. And as I explained with at one point, there was a certain type of behavior that when when that was happening in the corporate, that hit a certain nerve in myself, and the child came out, and instantly I just wanted to just scream and cry. It was when I was treated enormously unfairly. And that came, I was like, yeah, that's just not, uh, just, this can't be it, right? This is not who I am, really. It doesn't have to be like this forever. So, okay, that's a part of me that I really want to work on. So I'm handling those things much better now. But that's such a freedom in that. That is an awful place to be. For me, I felt like I came across like someone I wasn't, and I felt it was just complete. Everything was just completely wrong. It's like, and I couldn't control it. I couldn't. It was so difficult for me to. Well, I could control it in some ways, but it took a lot of. I was affected, but maybe that's human too. So it's not that we're doing something wrong, but I just felt like that's not who I want to be. That's not who, or no, it's not who I am. I knew that that's not who I am. So when we feel things, when we haven't been taught properly how to fully handle our emotions, then that becomes a big deal, because the human is a feeling organism. That is how we move through every single part of our lives, is through the emotions. We are making our food choices based on emotions. We choose our friends based on emotions, our partners, our pets, our job. What feels good, what is, we're only choosing on how things makes us feel. So that is like one part of the puzzle. And then the other part of the puzzle is that, so we make decisions part on how we feel. Yeah, so let's start there. We make decisions based on how we feel. And when we feel certain emotions, we don't want that. So usually we want to just fix that as quickly as possible. Like, how can I remove this highly unpleasant sensation in myself that I don't feel like I have any control over, or that I don't understand? And now I'm speaking from my own experience. Like, I didn't understand, like, why is this, it's so strong. And I realized that I learned from a very young age to just put a lid on that, and just park that until age of 39, when everything was falling apart. Um, so, and most of the time we also make a connection with something that is happening in the external world, so that we connect this emotion to a situation that is happening internally. We don't make the initial connection that, okay, this is something that only has to do with me, because that happened and then I felt like that. So the mind is trained to, like, okay, that happened and then this happened, that happened and then this happened, that happened and this, when you said that I felt like this. So of course it's you. But that's not entirely true. I mean, of course we can make choices. If I hang out with person A or person B, and person B is a bad person, and person A is a very nice person, of course I'm going to have completely different experiences, and I have a choice to hang out with person A or person B. And if I continually chooses to hang out with person B, then I mean, that's also on me. So there's a lot of accountability in this situation. However, the child is not supposed to take full accountability for their own actions all the time, and all of this, because they are growing and learning and experiencing and expressing, and is in a completely different state. But then at some point, age starts to become a factor, and as we become older, we are also expected to behave in a different manner. But these childlike, these unhealed wounds and these unhealed situations, they have caused imprints on ourselves, or on us as we are growing, and with no tools and resources, this is never resolved. We just keep carrying them around. And when we if we keep on trusting that this is something that is completely and 100% only connected to an external situation, then that starts to alter our belief system, and it starts to alter the reality on how the world actually works. Because if we look at a child that comes to the planet, then there's limitless potential and limitless opportunities. Anything can happen, because anything can happen on this planet. That's how it's set up. But then we start to add in, okay, first, what country is this baby born in, and then what what family, and what school, and what social status, and what does this uh, child have access to. And then the belief system starts to form very early, because everyone around them is telling us that it works like this is how it works. And those imprints, when they come from a very young age, are hard. They are real imprints. However, that is the reality. That is one truth from that aspect of life. So what we can do is that's like the ascension journey. We can ascend as humans and realize, oh, okay, I don't have to believe this. That is true from that lens. But if I shift my perspective and move over here, then things look different. Things work different. You can just go to different cities. I mean, Chiang Mai and Singapore, for instance, is two completely different vibes. And Simba is like, huh, like, where do we want to? I mean, we're not going to move from Chiang Mai, but it's like, it's a choice. It needs to be a conscious choice. And when you start to make choices based on consciousness instead of emotions, and emotions will keep guiding us for the rest of our lives. But that is the emotion I feel in this moment, unbiased, not infiltrated from any other imprints, any other truths than my own. And that's when we start to behave differently. We start to move through the world differently. But the human experience is that we are born into circumstances, and we all have our specific things we need to work on, or grow up from, or overcome, or understand, or realize, because our souls are here to grow. So just figuring that out as the human, and see how. So when I realized that, okay, so all I need to do, it's like, that was the question so all I need to do is to figure out and kind of heal the parts of myself that I didn't have the capacity to heal when I was young, and see where are the belief systems that is keeping me in a cage. Okay, it's going to be a little bit uncomfortable in the beginning, and then I was like, well, what's the alternative? And that's to stay where I was, and that was just not I mean, that was not a viable choice, and that was definitely not an interesting choice, because starting to look at because the world is an interesting place. I mean, this intelligence that has created this is good at it. So it's fun to explore. And I'm not saying that I'm smarter than anyone else. I'm just not intrigued by most of the human interactions and things that people do to socialize or to entertain themselves. I'm not drawn to that per se. My thing has always been intelligence. I can look at something and I can see, ooh, it's like I can recognize when something is done in a very elegant way, or how it's like, wow, I can really see what they did here. This is very interesting. And I'm not saying that I'm better than anyone else. I just prefer things to I get entertained by certain things, and the way that this universe is created and how people interact and how that all works and how it all connects together, that for me is interesting. Now my mother is watching, and she suggested the other day that I would get a hobby. That was a very funny thing to say to someone who's 48 and is completely consumed by this project that I'm doing, and the way that um, I'm just looking at the universe all the time and just study it. That's what I'm doing basically. And that's why I need so much alone time, because it's like I'm sticking my head out, so my crown and my third eye is defined. So I'm designed to do that. It's like I'm always living with my head in the clouds, almost like I'm looking at this, and it's, yeah, that's very interesting actually. That's how it feels. Like I have a helmet on that is just connected to, and the helmet is crown and third eye. So my both of those centers are defined. So it's like I can turn that on and just look around. And I think I've told you before that I study patterns and I notice things, and that's how I learn. And so I'm doing that with the universe all the time. But my human, so I know how it works, and then my human goes, no, that's crazy. We can't do that. That's doing lives on Instagram. I don't want to do that. And and I'm like, really? So there's a part of me that is just like, come on already. And then there's another part of me, just be kind. Don't go so fast. Oh, can't we just, it's comfortable here. And then the other part is just watch it, or I do something crazy, like going live on 108 days in a row. So I do these things. I have this ability to do things and then take care of the little one as we go along. But we need both, because we are the adult and we are the child simultaneously, and that's just a part of us that is part of the human experience. And the child needs to be there, because we need to remember how to have fun, and to play like there's no tomorrow, and just laugh and get wild into fantasy, and you know, just, we're here to enjoy the mysteries of the world. And that is like, it's like being in a fairy tale. You can be consumed by the mysteries, oops, of the universe. And that's just my favorite thing to do, because then I bring that back and I try to implement it into my physical reality. So there's just no room for any hobbies, Mom. But what she meant by that is get out and do things. Don't sit here and work all the time, which is correct. She's completely right. So we will do that. Okay, so the ability to, it's like if we show up to a 12-step program, there's like, I'm a recovering I'm a recovering child. It's like, I mean, it's a child with no resources, that well, with limited resources, that is exposed to a planet that is pretty harsh. It's like, just the fact that I mean, the one of the I had, I was so afraid of the gremlins when I was a kid, because someone let me watch that when I was 7, and that freaked the crap out of me. So I was afraid of the shower until I was 30 something. I mean, that's way just, it's just a very unnecessary experience, in my opinion. It's like, as kids, we need to be exposed to the horrors of the world when we have a system that can actually, separate what is real and what is not, and all of these things. But the world isn't designed like that. We are designed like that, but the world is not designed like that. So most of us are having interesting experiences, to say the least, as we grow up. And I've had awful experiences growing up as well, and that gives us imprints. And the way that we view the world, and it's like the energy we operate from. And if we are operating from survival, which I think that is a very common way of expressing it nowadays, like operating out of survival, or what is the opposite? Yeah, that is operating from abundance. So the survival, the poverty mindset is that it's not enough resources for everyone. It's not enough for me. I'm not equipped, and I need to really work hard to get something, to get by. I need to get ahead. I'm behind. There's this rush, this stress that it's not enough, and we are experiencing all these scarcity mindsets and beliefs and situations in our lives. And then coming from a state of abundance, then we are not rushing. We don't believe that we're going to miss out. We don't believe that we are not enough. We live in a completely different frequency. And that is the switch that we spoke about. And the other day, I want to remember that we did that. So it's let's see. Just gonna check on my notes. Yeah, so and it's connected to this Bible, do not fear. So it's like the human has a very fearful experience, and the divine doesn't. So there's the glitch there. Let's see here. So the emotional experience that we have is something that we would need to meet at some point as levels of adults. That there are these unhealed emotions inside of us that we usually try to fix or numb in other ways. It's like, sitting still long enough to meet those experiences and hold space for oneself and realize that, okay, no one's going to come and save me. I need to be the one who holds this for myself. And I am the only one that can do something about my own situation. I mean, sure, we have people around us, but then there's this curling, overprotective that is sometimes there's just this miracle, this hand of God that someone comes and helps us in a way, and there's just so much gratitude, and then things really change from there. And then that was this one, touch of God that we needed in that moment. It was this miracle. That is one thing. But then we also have the shadow of this. If someone comes and bails us out all the time, or if we don't, for different reasons, we don't need to face any consequences of our actions or who we are and how we are moving through the world. And that is not good either if we're looking from a growth perspective. And because when we come from this growth evolution mindset, then the challenges is a part of it. But if you are not taking that accountability, and as we spoke about just previously in this session, that if we are blaming how we feel inside on the external world, if we become a little bit spoiled, like a spoiled child, if we bring that kind of mentality and attitude into our adult life, and that can be very subtle. That can be in a way that we don't even notice sometimes, that we just expect someone else to kind of come and fix things for us. And there's nothing wrong with having other people fixing things for us. It's more, what energy am I coming from an accountability energy, or am I coming from that I don't really want to take accountability? If I'm blaming the situation, because we're always two, it's everything is nice until someone makes a mistake. It's like in collaborations or relationships with other people, everything works out until someone makes a mistake. And because mistakes are the way that we learn and grow as humans, we know that they are going to come. I mean, it's like new couples, when people ask, like, did you have your first argument yet? No, not yet. Okay, well then, are you really together? That kind of people, like, are you really together? Because you have to have that first argument, because you don't know who you are as people before things start to not go well. And because of how this planet is created, that's the one thing we know: things are going to change, and things are going to go well, and things are going to go not well. But if we only want to participate and take part of the parts where things are going well, then we're going to have another type of experience. And when it comes to manifestation with the feeling inside, there's nothing wrong with having negative feelings. You won't, just because you feel a lot of fear doesn't mean you will attract more fear. Because if I have to purge a lot of fear, if I have going through a situation, that is not per se going to attract more of that. If you look at law of attraction, that what you are is what you attract. It's not the feeling per se. Let's say fear. It's how I perceive what is going on inside of me. So if I know that, so nowadays, I know if I have a very strong sensation, I know, okay, this is something that I have inside. It has nothing to do with the outside. Even if it was my interaction with Simba that created it, I know it's not about Simba. Unless I'm continually overriding something in myself that I'm not listening to. So that is something that also can happen, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about when I'm having experiencing inside of myself and I blame it on other people. That's when it doesn't really harmonize, because we can't walk around and blame external situations for things that happened to us in the past. And that is where we are the only ones who can take full accountability for that and actually move on from it. Because yes, some people want revenge, some people want to be their name cleared, or apologized, or being honored and witnessed in certain things. Yes, absolutely, those things might need to occur, and that is up to each and every single person. There are unique experiences, but we are the only ones who can make that happen. And that is when we cannot only choose half of the human experience, because if we continuously just try to, I just want this piece, then we're just going to get more of the other one, because we're building up so much resistance. So a lot, and that's where Buddhism comes in. It's like the resistance of the acceptance of the now, the lack of acceptance for the now and what is happening, and that we are able to hold the space for the human and for the divine at the same time. And to me, this is the breaking point of humanity. It's like there's a very clear way that people choose to operate from, and that is what happens when a mistake is made, and how is that handled. How do we view the fact that every single interaction is going to be, there's going to be a mistake in every friendship, in every relationship. If it's a, I mean, of course there's client student, or client teacher situations that where everything is fine. But it's like, if you go deep enough, then that relationship needs to be tested as well, because it needs to go stronger, because there's more trust that needs to be established. And that is how the universe works. So it doesn't really care, oh, you're teacher and student, and it needs to have a great relationship, so okay, we don't touch that doesn't happen either. So it's like, what happens when the unexpected happens? Are we able to meet each other on mutual terms and respect each other both equally as human, and meet at an equal level as humans? Or is one part feel like they are above the other? And that is what happens, like, so when a mistake happens, then it's a dynamic that is revealed, like, who are you for me? That will be revealed. And the way that I will treat you, either if you made a mistake, how will I treat you? Or if I made a mistake, how will I treat you and me? That is the breaking point of for me, as with interactions with other humans. And I'm starting to make the conscious choices and move away from environments where people are not taking accountability for their own actions and are not willing to meet with respect, no matter what has happened. That you are able to talk to others with respect, and it's like honoring everyone's human journey, and realize, mistakes happen, and the faster we can make it better for both of us, the quicker this will go and the best we are both off on this journey. And maybe there was a relationship that had to break because we are supposed to move on in our both our experiences, then that's completely fine. You can do that without doing damage on other people or yourself, because that is ultimately what happens. Because when we are not treating other people good, we are doing the same to us, because the body is not aligned with the body is aligned with unity, with God consciousness, with love and truth as the highest hierarchical orders. That's the body. The body is programmed. That is what the body comes from. So when the body starts to live out of alignment with the humanity that we have, that we are, then we start to do damage on the body. That's when we start to become sick, and the energy starts to be different, and we start to make other choices, and things starts to go sideways. But we can always return. So we have to have this mercy and grace and forgiveness and love and all of these things, so that we, in fact, that we can return. And this is the thing, that are we someone said it very well. There's one thing to speak and preach about peace, and then there's another to operate out of peace. So it ultimately comes down to, I think we spoke about this, the thought. How do we think about things? How do we feel about things? And how do we act about things? And when we are aligned, we are thought, emotion, action. So we are living. So are you only thinking about peace and talking about peace, but not living peace? It doesn't show in your actions. Then that overrides the thinking and the feeling about it. And that's where we start to realize that a lot of people that are doing damage to other people believe that they are doing a good thing. They believe that they are standing up for themselves, or standing up for a cause, and in the name of that cause, doing damage on other people. So it's this, where am I? Who am I, and who do I want to be? And that all is shown when things don't go according to plan. And that is part of the human experience. So that is really the one thing that I look out for, or that I look at in people, that you realize what happens with them when something goes wrong. That's when you know, you will see what happens. And of course, people can have an emotional reaction, but what are they doing from there? Are they acting on those emotions, or are they being able to hold the personal power? Maybe the emotion was so strong that you had to express yourself in a certain way, but then when that was done, there was no other harm done. It's not this repetitive talking behind someone's back, or trying to destroy someone, or coming after someone, or whatever things people are doing in this human experience. I mean, we all have these situations where it's like, wow, this is really not fun when people are behaving that way. However, there is no right or wrong. There's only consequence. So we make a move in the world, and then we get the reaction from the world back. It's like, okay, I I did something to someone that they didn't like, and then I got to feel that, they were not happy with me, and I felt a lot of shame, I felt a lot of guilt, disappointment, and all this. Wow, this was not a nice experience, and that is the world saying, so maybe don't do that, or if you do that, this is what happens, and then now it's up to you. So we keep on making choices where we get feedback from the world, and the things that we are unable to stop to repeat, that is deep imprints from the past. Like, why am I not able to move away from these types of situations or relationships, or when we keep attracting the same thing? So that's how. But that is learning and growing, and as we grow and as we learn, we become stronger and stronger, and that's when we can